Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well. It's Wednesday, the 14th of July, 8 p.m. here in the UK, and I'm really excited to be going live tonight because I'm going to be interviewing one of my favorite photographers from Sweden, from probably all from across my Instagram. So this guy is one of my favorite human beings. His beard game is very, very strong as well. Um, Victor Andersson is the guy we're going to be speaking to with today. And he became a full-time photographer in 2014. I'm sure he'll correct me if that's wrong, but I did pinch this off your website, Victor. So in 2014, he became a full-time photographer. And Victor says that he's driven by the idea of being able to make his world a better place with not only photography, but graphic design, which some of you might not be aware that he does as well. So we'll explore a little bit of that as well, and that creative process as well. But not to mention, he's also, as I said, he has a tremendous beard game. So you will know him once you see him. But first of all, can you see me? Can you hear me? Before we crack on, before we bring him on, have we got a drink? More importantly, do we have a drink? No, we haven't got Baileys tonight. We've got what have we got? This is Mahiki. Mahiki. This is the bottle right here. It's coconut rum, a bit like Malibu, but much better. And I've just realized that there is a penis straw inside that I can't actually physically get out. That was from my stag do. Everyone had other straws, and I got the penis straw. So it tastes even better. But this is Mahiki. So let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me okay. Today's been a really good day, actually. I finally bought a new camera. So for those of you who saw the poll earlier, a lot of you thought it was the R6, but I plunged and I got the Canon R5. It's the first camera I've owned in 9 years. So it's really, really nice to own a brand new camera. Nothing wrong with the Mark III. I'm going to probably shelve it or probably put it in a glass box like Peter McKinnon has done with his camera, because there's no way I can sell that. I do want to find out, though, how many shutter acquisitions I've done on that. I'm really interested to know. It'd be interesting to find out. But enough about me. Let's get on our guest tonight. So let's just see who we've got. First of all, before we bring Miss Em on, we've got Mark Thompson here. Hey, Mark, how you doing? We've got Callum here. Got a gorgeous, what is it? Got a ginger drink, and I'm all set. Silver's all set. Graham's here. We've got Francis. We've got thanks for all your time. Hey, Francis. Yay for new gear. Thanks for being here, Steph. Well, guys, let's bring on Victor. So let's just see if this all works. So, Victor, can you see me? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear, and I can see you. Yes, Tommy.
Hey, Victor. Thank you so much for being here, man. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. And I think I need to correct the white balance and color correction of my lights, because I'm blushing so bad from that intro. So kind, such kind words. Likewise, I am blown away by your work as well, and you have been through my journey, been a huge inspiration for me. And your YouTube series has been a great source of inspiration and knowledge. So right back at you.
Oh, thanks so much, man. I'll give you that £20 later. Thanks for that. Right back at me. Thanks so much for being here, man. Well, let's first of all, have you got a drink?
I got a drink. I got this. It's a very rare kind of drink I got from, I think, the grocery store. You have to brew it for exactly 3 or maybe 4 minutes. With hot water to make this delicious brown liquid called coffee, which I am drinking with a very non-sponsored mug.
Oh, we are big coffee lovers. I know that we do like to do the odd Nespresso Instagram story, don't we?
Yes, gotta have some espresso.
Oh, absolutely. I can't drink coffee this late. I was just saying before we came on, I can't drink coffee this late, so that's why I'm on the alcohol. But I know that you had a few technical difficulties, but I'm so glad that you're here and you're able to overcome those, and there's no audio issues now. So
Hopefully.
we can crack on. Well, first of all, Victor, let's start from the very beginning and tell me and explain to me how you got into photography and why you ended up with portraiture more so than anything else.
But then you're gonna say, like, how far back do you want to know?
Okay, well let's start off then maybe at the start of the career when it became full time. Like how did you progress? So a lot of people watching are maybe people that do photography in their spare time and maybe are looking to do this professionally. So maybe you can go from the point of when you made that jump from what you were doing. Oh, and please tell me, what were you doing before, and then how did you make that jump into full time?
Okay, then I think I need to go to a bit further back. I studied fine arts in high school. I was majoring mostly. I mean, I was not majoring. I was studying everything: graphic design, illustrations, like print, and of course photography. And during that time, I was like dead set to become a graphic designer and an illustrator. I wanted to draw comics. I wanted to draw like paintings. I wanted to draw and paint. Back then, I honestly thought and told some people very abruptly that photography is not a real art because it's just pressing the button. Real art comes from the stroke of a pencil, from a brush. Anyway, so I quit high school. I thought I was going to like, yay! I am graduated. I am 19 years old. I am gonna be a graphic designer. I am qualified. Spoiler: I was not qualified, not at all. So I started working at an Apple retail store while being a part-time freelance graphic designer.
Okay.
And I think I was 18 when I first got my camera, but I never used it much. However, I did have a couple of gigs as an illustrator and graphic designer during my part-time time.
Yeah.
And the money I earned from that, I spent on camera gear because there's not that much gear you can buy as an illustrator. Like you get some pens or papers. And then I made a career at this retail store. I became a store manager, and I got a lot of responsibilities throughout the nation, from doing designs and price tags and like really boring design stuff. But I did it. I did some commercial photography for some event. We did really boring stuff, really. But that was what I was doing. And then one day I got so sick of that work. I was like, I was on Iceland in a rented like Honda Civic. And for anyone who's been on Iceland, you know that the roads are absolute horrible.
Oh,
I mean, if you can call that roads.
Yeah.
So I sat there in that very cheap small car, cramped up. It was minus some degrees. We were sleeping in the car, and I was having the worst time of our life, me and a couple of friends. And I said, like, shit, this is what I want to do for a living. I'm going to quit my job when I come back.
You made that decision there in Iceland?
Yeah, there and then, in the car, right outside of the waterfall, Skogafoss.
Yeah.
And I made that decision. I came home. I pretty much the next day called my supervisor and said, like, yeah, sorry, I'm going to have to call it quits. But I still worked part-time. I still do actually work part-time in this retail store, like on weekends for some extra income.
Okay.
Which saved me during the pandemic. So no shame in having an extra gig, because last year I made very little money. And without that extra gig, I would have not survived. And that's basically the step. I had no plan. I had no money. I had no savings account. I had some gear. But I had what I had was this motivation that like, I'm going to do this. The alternative being in this store and this 9-to-5 kind of environment, I just couldn't have it. So, and then the first couple of years, maybe honestly just the first year, I only did design. I didn't have any photo work because I didn't focus on it either. And then during the beginning of my second year, a friend of mine came like, hey, I have an idea for a project we can do. You want to tag along? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then we discussed it, and I before this project bought my first set of flashes, and I was like, I don't know really what this is, but I need flashes, and hey, why not? I had some money saved, so I bought them, did this job, and earned quite some money of it. Even though it was supposed to be a personal project, we sold the images for quite some money, and that was it was like kind of like, yeah, you can make money from this, and it was weird.
It was,
but
I guess, was it almost the moment that contradicted your own thought way back when you, at your first thought of photography, how it was all just about clicking a button and not really much to be earned from it? Was that kind of then when you realized
I
this
think
was
I think I had that thought. I had released that thought much earlier.
right?
That was just like teenage Viktor, angsty Viktor talking about
Okay.
how some arts are somehow superior to other arts. And
Yeah.
I mean, I was apparently very pretentious back then. And anyhow, where was I? So yeah, when this work was done, I spent all that money on a new camera without even thinking about future. I spent a new camera, and then I sat there with this very expensive flashes because it was the Pro Photo flashes, was way above my price range. And then I had my very expensive Hasselblad camera, which is even further above my price range. And I was like, so what I'm supposed to do with this? Like, what should I do? And one thing that I've had enjoyed during the years of just messing around with my camera was whenever a friend of mine posted my picture of them as a profile picture on Facebook. That was just something I enjoyed. It always got a lot of likes, it always got a lot of comments. So it was just an enjoyable thing for me. So I thought, like, okay, I'm gonna try and make profile pictures. I'm gonna try and make people's Facebook pictures. And my initial idea was just to try and take pictures that people wanted to have as a profile picture because they liked it, not because it was a nice picture, but because they liked it. I had this urge to find or take a picture where I took a picture of the person, not the not the human, but the person inside. And then this whole pretentious thing comes back about with Chinese philosophers and stuff. But more on that in a moment. But basically, what I did back then, I was like, I gotta make use of this gear I have. So I set out and said, I'm gonna shoot one new person every week for the coming year. I started with friends on Facebook, so then became like my friends' partners, and then like acquaintances. And
Oh, Viktor, are you still there? Oh no, I think we've lost him. We've lost the beard. Oh no. Oh, hang on. He might be back. He might be back.
yeah,
Hey,
I'm
you.
here.
Sorry, Viktor. Yeah, as you were. Carry on.
I don't, where did you lose me?
It was where you were just talking about how you left. You got back to work. You're working there part time, whilst you were during the pandemic. But then you oh god, I've totally lost it. You were.
I was talking about how I was. Do you want to use my new flashes?
It was right before then. Yeah, right before then.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I had these new flashes, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to use them. So I thought, did you just? I thought
shooting one new person a week. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry. Yeah.
So I did that, and I started asking my friends, like people I trained with, and my friends' partners, and just anyone I was comfortable with. And then I felt like I need to somehow learn to shoot people I don't know. I need to learn to shoot people I'm not comfortable with, because that is a kind of treat I think is important if you want to work as a portrait photographer. You're gonna have to know how to treat people and talk to people and make people comfortable in front of the camera that you don't already know. And then after a while, I ran out of friends that I was comfortable asking, or that I felt suited this whole idea. And so I went on this Swedish site called Statist, or like it's basically extras for movies.
Right.
And I made a post saying, hey, I have a project where I want to capture your persona in a photo, where we're going to have a coffee and take some photos and trying to see if we can figure out what your person is and capture that in a still image. And I got, like, I think in the first day, 100 responses from people that wanted to have a picture.
Oh, wow.
So I had to like go in my inbox and just choose people. I mean, choosing people to shoot based on their persona. And like, it was super hard because I didn't want to go on the people that I thought looked most photogenic. I just wanted to find these interesting people. And it was super weird having to like pick out people from this list that I wanted to work with. Super weird, but it worked well. And I remember the first night I was the first shoot I did in this studio actually. It was like 19, so like 7 in the evening, and I sat there and realized that there's a guy coming here. I have no idea who he is. I'm going to let him into my studio where I have all this expensive gear. This is maybe, I don't know, is this a good idea? It turned out he was one of the sweetest guys like ever, working with children and like a therapist, yeah. So he was a super kind guy, and he really let himself into the pictures. We just gave me more more engine flames, more ved på elden is a Swedish word, more fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
To continue this project and try and find more people to work with and more people to shoot, and try and really find a formula almost on how can I find, how can I get a person to take off his mask? This mask that everyone has, especially when they're with new people. We are very dependent on having these masks that says something about who we are.
Well, I think that's it. I think every portrait photographer's goal, isn't it, for sure, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because the mask is uninteresting. That's what everyone sees when I come underneath that.
Yeah.
And so then it's continued like that. After the first year, I realized that first year was mostly design. The second year was 50-50 design and photos. The third year, people didn't even reach out to me about design work. It was just photos. And I realized that however much I really like typography and vector design and working with these nitty-gritty small details and having everything work with the golden ratio and circles and however I much love that, it wasn't even comparable to photography and especially portraits and the light and flashes and off-camera flash. It was just, that was everything that took up my whole headspace.
Yeah.
So I just kept going, and eventually I started assisting other photographers. I did a lot of assisting and to other photographers in the beginning. I had some colleagues and acquaintances coming to me like, I have this work, I don't know Flash, you do, can you come and help me and set light? I'm like, sure, I don't know Flash very well, but sure, I'll do it. Those relationships later worked on to be where I did to go with their clients or help them with other gigs, and it just blossomed. It was rings on the water. It's another Swedish idiom.
Rings on the water.
Yeah, you say that in English too.
That's not one I'm familiar with, but I kind of get the idea.
You drop a stone in the water, and when that spreads out, it starts.
Yeah.
And hits other things, it starts new ripples.
So what age or what kind of year was that realization then, where you were getting so much more photo work and people were calling you up for more photo than design work? How far back are we at this point?
I think that was about when I decided to get into the studio, and that I think was 2016, if I'm not 15, 16, and those years just mesh to me, merge.
Yeah.
It's
well,
a blur.
I think it's safe to say that when people look at your images, there's definitely a style. There's so I just see the coffee being poured. It was a nice sound there. When people see your images, it's a very clear style. I've got your Instagram up right here, and I'd love to go through some of your images if I may, and get you to break down the creative process. But one of the things that really sticks out to me that I really like about your work is that you're not shy from using hard light. And I think naturally people would, when they're starting out in photography, would maybe go to a softbox as a go-to modifier. And whilst obviously softboxes have their place and you use softboxes, what I really like about your images is that you're not shy to use hard light, like this, for example, here. And your images just almost feel like there's a bit of 3D element to it. Probably because of and I'd like to think it's because of the hard light and the depth of field maybe that's kind of bringing you that closer in. But is that an intentive choice that you like? Do you enjoy using hard light? Is that why I'm seeing a lot of it? specifically go for hard light, or is it a mixture?
Definitely, I'm very fond of hard light. Of course, not everybody like this is going to be hard because not every face works well in hard light. Hard light is very hard to shoot in, and of course every face works in hard light, but it's harder to find the right angle or the right position for the light to work. But basically, what I've been learning, so basically from the beginning, I always wanted to try and recreate natural light in the studio. And somewhere along the way I realized that natural light is never soft unless it's like a cloud, and clouds, nobody goes out and shooting when it's cloudy. You want sunlight, you want sunset, you want the light shining into the lens, creating lens flares and all that. Oops, hold on.
No worries, man.
So I realized that since natural light is hard by nature because the sun is hard, then it's just something I realized just realized it's natural, and it feels nice.
I totally agree, man. It's something that I'm doing and want to do a lot more of in my work, is use hard light. And as you said, and you put it perfectly, is that natural light, unless it's a really cloudy day, is not as soft as a softbox. Nothing ever really is as soft as a softbox, like naturally, to create a natural looking light. And I think that's probably why your images just look so realistic. Again, if we just go back, like even this environmental image here, it's just lovely. Maybe if you wouldn't mind, for the viewers, breaking down this particular image and telling us how you achieved this particular shot, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. So location work is very taxing, especially if it's cramped like this was. This was probably 3 meters in wide and maybe 5 meters deep, so it was a very cramped space, and especially since the one way was a mirror. But what I did when I came here, I wanted to first I thought, okay, where does the light come from? What possible light source do we have here? And then of course first I see that we have the lamp in the background. So I set one light shining up his furthest side.
Yeah. I think we might be losing Viktor again, folks. I think actually Viktor has a behind the scenes from this setup. Let me just scroll. I think this is the same shoot. Let's just have a quick look at this while we get him back.
Nice shape with the Rembrandt.
Oh, you're back. You're back. Sorry, Viktor. I think we lost you for a moment there. Oh. I thought you'd gone. I thought you were. I didn't think. Is it? You're back. You're back. Is this this video here? Is this from the same? This is the same shoot, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's filmed by my good friend and colleague Brandon, who you guys probably seen on my channel some. But yeah, there you can see a bit how I set it up. But basically, I try to find light to tie the person into the place we are, and give a logical sense of where the main light is coming from. And then I had a big what's the word, umbrella behind me to just fill in the shadows and try and basically smooth out the hot spots that the flashes would create by illuminating everything a little bit more.
In terms of your learning, like your looking at your work, you look as if you've been in this game for a lot longer than you have. How did you did you learn photography just through trial and error? Was it a mixture of that and watching tutorials? And you said that you second shot or you assisted people. Was it mainly that, or was it a culmination of all those things?
It's a combination of all those things, definitely. I went to some minor, like 3-hour light courses from other photographers. I came on one big in my life. It was a big turning point, kind of how to use colored lights. I went on the workshop with David Bishop that works a lot with Pro Photo.
Yeah.
Went on a workshop with him when they released the colored gel package for the OCF range. I just attended that as a participant, and that gave me a lot of knowledge from how to use these colored lights and how to use color temperature. And it was actually from the part where he used demonstrated how to shoot a stilleben, like a still life picture, and how he thought about that I pretty much stole and took with me onto the my location work. Pretty much saying that when it's possible, you got to have some kind of yellow light, because very little light is bluish. A lot of light is yellow. The sun is yellow, especially during the evening times. And pretty much all our lamps are in some way yellow. Neutral lights are very unusual. And using the combination of this yellow light and blue shadows to create a more natural looking image. And then, of course, and to go back to your question, of course, being able to just experiment. I think, honestly, most of the images on my Instagram feed is experimental shoots I did with acquaintances, actors from this statist site. So I've just tried to, every time I'm doing a new shoot that's not like set, you have to have it like this. I've tried something new. I've had this idea of how can I use the light in this or that in this or that way. Can I get this effect in camera without cheating in Photoshop or Lightroom? That's a long answer to a short question.
No, it was good, man. Silver Lining was asking how many lights in total was this shot?
That shot is 3 lights in total. 3 lights, and I think there's a reflector and a deflector. So I think on his shadow side, I have a black flag to increase the shadows on that side. And I'm not sure, maybe you can see that in the video, there's a reflector, but I'm not sure if that fitted in there in the end. But it's 3 lights, three strobes.
It's a beautiful image, and it's interesting what you say about the use of color and how that not hardly anything is blue. So you adding that bit of color in there. It doesn't have to be full CTO. It could be the half or quarter. You get different styles. You can also get straw as well. Like there's a color that they call straw. I quite like that one, using that instead of instead of using CTO. CTO is always a go-to, but a straw one's good as well that I like to use. But again, as you said, not everything is that 5600 perfectly Kelvined color. So by adding those accents of colors, you kind of make it feel a lot more realistic, which you've clearly done here, and you've done very well.
Thank you.
So what I wanted to move on to is so you mentioned briefly about, the idea of being a portrait photographer, and it's putting the subject at ease, which is the ultimate goal for any portrait photographer. So I was wondering if you wouldn't mind telling us if you have a way or a method or a process of how you like to put a model or a subject at ease.
First of all, I want to have them have some coffee.
Good idea.
That's honestly, whenever I'm having a one-on-one or one-on-two portrait session, the first part, I'm quite adamant to have sit down. They don't have to have coffee, but I want. They can have some drink, basically water, tea, coffee. I sit down for if it's 15 minutes, that's enough. Preferably more, and just have a feeling for the other person to see. Do we have something in common? Maybe do we have nothing in common? Are we like I have been stuck on this word vibe. Like, are we vibing? Because it's something I think you can feel of a person quite quickly. Like, is this a person that has an energy that I can latch onto, or is this a person that maybe can latch onto my energy? It's that kind of bad habit. Coffee does put you at ease. Watch your mouth. Sorry, I just saw the comment coming in there. I just gotta have coffee. But no, of course, you don't have to have coffee. A cup of tea or water or like soda, soft drink. I just want to sit down with the person I'm shooting and just have a talk. And a Swedish person as I am, we always try to have our fika. So it's natural for me to just have something in my hand when I'm talking. And when there's a silence that's awkward, you just go. Yep. And that's that. And then when I feel that it's time, I'm saying, okay, should we move into the studio? And yeah, we will. And then they go to fix their like makeup and clothing, and I go down fixing the lights and the cameras and everything. And yes, chamomile tea is a good choice. I'm sorry, I'm looking on the comments again.
What? Oh, chamomile tea. Yeah, I've never had
Chamomile
chamomile tea.
It's gorgeous.
But coffee. Yeah, so you start with the coffee, and then you just chat and you find something in common. So that's your process, and obviously even better if you've got a rapport there, you've got something to engage with, and something you can chat about for the entire shoot. That's great. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so I wanted to kind of take a little bit of a different direction, and so I wrote a note. Hang on, let me just read it back to myself, make sure it makes sense. Okay, yeah, so I remember one of the conversations we had quite recently, Viktor, where we were kind of talking about how some people online like to say, what do you want to see from my YouTube? What do you want to see me do next on Instagram? And we were kind of saying how that might not be the best thing to say, because if you're making content for other people, you're just making content for other people. You're not making it for yourself anymore. And you kind of, I just feel like it's a really damaging thing to say. It's like you almost just become a puppet on a string. And I think when I said that to you, you said, people don't follow me because I asked them. People follow me because they want to follow the experiments and the personal projects that I'm doing. I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember exactly what you said, but I do remember just thinking that how true that is. And I think it's a good exercise, and for people to realize, once you start gaining a little bit of a following, don't fall into the trap of asking other people what they want to see from your own work. It should be you. It should be, I want to see what you want to do, right? I know that you feel the same way. I wondered if you can elaborate on that, because clearly you do that. That is what you do. You just do your personal work, you experiment, right? You're not influenced by other people.
Of course, I'm influenced by other people, but not like being a social person and a person that works with other people. Of course, I'm influenced. However, yes, you are right, and your paraphrasing is good enough. I wouldn't be able to rephrase it as I said it, but yeah, for me personally, so Instagram to me is just a game. It's like any other mobile game. I play it to get a high score. My high score doesn't matter. I try to get a bigger number every time I'm on the app. I'm playing by the rules. I'm following the algorithm. I'm just trying to get a bit higher high score. That's my idea of Instagram. And by saying that, my photography that I'm doing is not supposed to be followed or like influenced by this app. I'm trying to do what I think is interesting and what I think is fun. And then I put this on the app to try and get the high score. So I'm always trying to, because as you say, the people that follows me on the app started following me because the thing I put out there was something I already created before putting it on the Instagram. So if I put something I made for myself, like this, on Instagram, and then I ask, and then person A comes and like this and says, I follow you, I want to see more like this. What is the point if I go back to this person that just said I want to see more of what you just did, and then I ask him, so what do you want to see now? Like, of course he or she wants to see more of what I just did. So that's my take on it. Of course, I get influenced and people get inspired. I get inspired from people, and a lot of my inspiration comes from Instagram. Just swiping and seeing people's work and their BTS, and sometimes seeing stuff that is not people's work and just seeing maybe I can recreate this in the studio. But the idea of having this, like, Instagram is separate from my work. My work is on its own, and I do my work mainly for me or my clients. And then I put that onto Instagram for you to see and you to get inspired by. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't work the other way around. Because the other way around, I would have to go first to my followers saying what I want to see, and then put that on Instagram. But I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have followers. So that's my take on that.
I think one of the things that the other side of that, where if you're someone, and I've spoken about this a couple of times on Instagram, if you're so far the other way and you have if you suffer with imposter syndrome and you don't feel like you're even good enough, or you doubt yourself to put that thing out. And I think the coronavirus, the pandemic, has definitely been has heightened that within me, the imposter syndrome, where I've just been out of practice for so long. And I think more people are aware of imposter syndrome, but one thing that I wasn't aware of that you brought to my attention recently was is it called the Dunning-Kruger effect, or the Dunning-Kruger curve?
Yeah.
The Dunning-Kruger curve. Now, I'd never heard of this, so would you mind explaining to us what the Dunning-Kruger curve is?
Can I get a pen and paper?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, no problem.
I'll be right back.
It's this explanation is really, really great. I'd never even heard of it. Let me know, guys, in the chat, if you've ever suffered with imposter syndrome, or not feeling like you're good, you feel good enough, like you feel like any minute now someone's gonna rat you out, or you feel like someone's gonna find out that you're not good at what you do, when in fact you are. It's just that self-doubt. But Viktor's going to explain to us something kind of similar to this. It's called the Dunning-Kruger curve, that I think you even you did a video for me on Instagram to show me privately. So I think you're about to do the same thing. If
pretty much, it's a hard thing to explain without having the curve in front of you, because otherwise it would do like this, and it's hard.
Sorry, man. I'm gonna get you to then draw it out for me, but I know it will explain it a lot better if you do.
Yeah. So first of all, if anyone knows this better than me, please correct me. So I'm going to do my take on it as I've understood it. So basically, what we have is a curve. It was the most horrible pen ever, but it works. So we have the here's the let's see. So I say this. Here's your confidence level. Let's say it's C. Confidence level on the high. So how confident you are in something, and here's time or experience. Let's say time/experience. And the idea of this is that when you start something out, say you start photography, then your confidence, and you start learning stuff. You learn what bokeh is. You learn the aperture, your shutter speed. You start learning the stuff. Then your confidence go up. This is hard. Way up here, very fast. You feel like on the top of the world. Very quickly. But then the more you realize that there is to this, the more you understand about photography or whatever you're trying to learn, then your confidence goes down again, and it goes down to somewhere around here, where I personally think is where the imposter syndrome is, because you have experience, you have knowledge, you have spent time in this, but your confidence is very low. It's not zero. It's never zero. It's just this. You see, there's a small gap there. It's never zero. But then the interesting thing is that the more time you spend here, it goes up again. Goes up again. So here, how it looks. And the interesting part here is that you never come above the confidence level that you did in the beginning, because in the beginning you were in a search for a better word, ignorant to what you knew. You didn't know what you didn't know, and the more time and effort you put into this, the more you realize that what you don't know. You're like somewhere here, you maybe realize, oh wait, we have the inverse square law. What's that? And then you delve deeper into that, and so on, so further. So it's not until you start to realize what you don't know and you start learning those things that you come back up here. So that is basically the Dunning-Kruger curve and effect, that your confidence are very affected by the level of time and experience you have in the subject. And I just want to say hi to Annalise, my girlfriend, that just commented that she related to the Krueger curve. Hi, babe.
That's cool. Thanks for being here. Well, I think we can after that. So just to surmise then, so you start off when you learn something new, your confidence grows very quickly, in at the beginning, but then you realize all the intricacies around it again. Yeah, so here's just a surmise. So that peak of the curve at the top, that's within the first few weeks or months of learning something new, not necessarily photography, anything really. And then you realize when you start to go down that curve that there are so many more things to learn. But then that's also where you believe the imposter syndrome is at the at the down part, at the bottom of the curve, where you start to doubt and question what you do know, and then that, hopefully, if you can bring yourself out of that imposter syndrome, you start to bring yourself back up. But it is interesting because you're so right. You never feel as confident as you did in those first few weeks or first few months when you first, for example, picked up a camera. You think, oh yeah, I can do this. This is all right. It's never the case, is it?
No, never. And to be fair, that this is also, I realize now as I'm explaining these new things pop up in my head, and I remember when I was on this peak up high on the Krueger curve. That was when I realized what bokeh was, or like low depth of field, and I felt really good very quickly. I took some selfies and stuff I thought was really cool, and I felt, and this confidence, this idea of, wow, I know this thing, I know what to do with this, I can use this. That was what also inspired me to learn more, and then again learn what I didn't know, and find out more, and trying to actually develop myself even further, because I got this confidence real quickly that made me want to explore it more.
That's a great way to explain it, man. And so many people here on the chat empathize and feel the same way. Luke says, I live in that valley.
I think I'm permanently somewhere around here. Maybe I'm a little bit above it, somewhere.
Yeah, I felt at my lowest probably during, well, in England it was lockdown 3, but for everyone else that was January time. That was when I think I felt at my lowest, where I just lost all my confidence. But I feel like now as we're coming out of lockdown, I kind of feel like it's maybe a bit like a muscle that you exercise at the gym. Creativity can be like a muscle, like exercising at the gym. And if you don't do it for a while, it's very quick to kind of fall off that ladder. We've got to get our batting average back up again. We've got to just get back out there and shoot. The more you do it, the more you'll just feel... You just feel better about it and feel more confident, because it's so easy to lose that confidence when you haven't done it for a while. Even more so if you're being paid to do it as well, because you doubt, like, oh, the phone stopped ringing. But at the end of the day, this pandemic, it's going to pass, and it is passing. Luckily, it's hopefully it's going to be on its way out soon. So hopefully things will go back to normal. So just remembering that this is temporary, and sometimes a year, I think, we might have quieter periods, and you just have to realize that once you've been doing it a while, you realize that you have quieter periods and you have busier periods. Unfortunately, with freelancing, that is the nature of the beast. And like you, Viktor, I was working over the pandemic. I was working part-time at a vaccine center, seeing all the oldies get their jabs, and there was no shame in it. And it's a bit of extra income, and it was just nice to feel wanted, feel like you were actually doing some good, coming home from the end of the day and feeling tired in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Someone else said silver linings. I felt so horrible the first lockdown, had super depression, but yeah, hopefully silver linings. I'm assuming that's not your real name, but I like it anyway. But hopefully you're coming out of it and you're going to feel much better once you pick the camera up and just keep on shooting. Moving on.
That's actually, in fact, we just may intersect there. I'm not gonna undermine any kind of depression. First of all, I'm not gonna go in there and say that I'm not undermining depression or feeling depression at all. However, when I was in high school, I studied some psychology, and my psychology teacher talked about how everyone goes ups, have our ups and downs based on hormone levels and everything. We have ups and downs all the time. And what she said is that it's during the part where we go up again from our lowest, when we're starting to go up, that's where our creativity starts. Now it says that something went wrong. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, man. Still hear you.
Okay, I'm keeping on. She said that when you are about to leave the down, then that's where you're most creative. And if you can feel yourself well enough to feel when you are about to come out, when it's get a little bit brighter, and if you force yourself to be creative, that can actually boost you way above the peak that you were initially about to get to. Because being creative and creating stuff is something that we as humans naturally want to do, and we feel good when we create things, no matter if it's like building a deck for your house or repairing your car or drawing something. We like making and creating stuff and building stuff and fixing stuff. So if we manage to latch on, we can use this curve as a ramp, and so we feel even better than we would have done. And in my case, when I've had my lows, I've tried to force myself to be creative, however hard it is, because I know that just struggling through that will push me up. But then again, depression is a very deep subject, and it might as well not work for everyone. And I'm not undermining and talking down on any person suffering from depression. But that's something that she talked about, and how we can use creativity to jumpstart ourselves in a way.
Yeah, that is so beautifully put, Viktor. I couldn't agree more. That's so lovely. I think I don't know how you feel, but I feel more creative when I have limitations. I know this is kind of going slightly into a different category, but I don't know how you feel. But if you've got during lockdown, I felt probably at my most creative actually during the first lockdown, when I couldn't go out and shoot. So I was thinking of how can I be creative in my little square studio space with no one there? And I found myself being more creative than I ever have been. And I realized it was because of limitations. And I realized that for people watching, if you feel like, oh, I can't do what I can't achieve that lighting look because I don't have the expensive Pro Photo strobes, for example. You know, that's not the case. And I'm sure you'll intersect. And but limitations can actually, like, if you only have a speed light, the amount you can do with a speed light is crazy. So I don't know. Do you feel the same way about limitations?
Oh yeah. Oh, don't get me started. I don't know if I heard that somewhere or if it's something I dreamt up, but it's become a quote that limitation is the muse of creativity. That is something I've been telling myself and people for years now, because I feel that if you have a blank sheet of paper, where do you start? Like, start in the corner, in the middle? Yeah. So it can't be. It's the possibilities are too many, so you can't like fine tune it. If you have a limitation in the beginning, then you can focus on fine tuning and adapting and creating something maybe bigger than what it would have done if you had anything to do. And the limitation can be anything. It can be like what gear you use. It can also just be what your client asks you. So like, we want this look, okay? Then that's the limitation. How can I put my kind of stamp on that image they showed me without copying it and still being within their wishes, their limitations they set on me and the shoot.
So true. We I'm sure you've had it before where maybe a client, as you said, you could describe that client like that blank piece of paper where they don't really give you a lot to go by, and you don't know where to go then. You don't know really what they want because they're not really giving you much information. They become that blank piece of paper. All you need is just something, just something to get you started, or a limitation, as you said, maybe a lighting setup you don't do often, or something that's going to step you out of your comfort zone. I've read a quote somewhere, I'm going to have to paraphrase it, but it's something like, the more you step out of your comfort zone, the bigger that comfort zone becomes. So the more you can do that, then the more you feel comfortable with everything else around you. And it's just so true. So limitations and pushing yourself out of that comfort zone. We're coming up to the end of the hour, Viktor. So I've got a couple more questions that I really do want to ask you. So I want to make sure we have time for those.
Of course.
You can answer this in as simple terms or as in depth as you want. But how would you define success?
Yes. You said I could be as short or long as you wanted. So. Well, that's a hard question. Would I consider myself successful? No, not yet. I'm still working for it. Does people around me think I'm successful? I've heard that before. I don't agree, because I have my own ideas of where I want to be successful. And in the end, I think that is success. It's when you're content with where you are, and when you feel that you have reached a place where you don't have to second guess yourself, and where you don't have to always look beyond where you are. It's up to you. When you are happy with where you are, then you're successful. I mean, and if that means you gotta make a lot of money, yes, sure. If that means you just gotta do what you love, sure. If that means you gotta get a dog and a van and go into the nature, sure. Success is up to you, and if anyone else tells you different, they are talking about their own success and not yours.
So you've said that success is basically up to us, up to you, whenever you feel like you're there. So do you know, or are you reaching for a goal then, Viktor, when you know that, or when you feel that you're successful, or you feel more successful? What's the next stage, or what's going to progress you to feeling like you're closer to that point?
Knowing myself, I think I won't ever get to that point, because I also think that if I ever get to that point, I'm afraid I will stop trying to. Oh, so long.
No worries, man.
I will stop trying to strive. That's just something I'm afraid of. But I mean, if me 5 years ago would look at where I am today, he would say like, that he's successful. But where I am sitting today, I'm like, no, I have more to learn. I have more to do, more places to be, more people to meet and shoot. I still want to come to, let's see, York, no? Where you live.
Oh,
okay, a lot to UK and meet you and a lot of other photographers over there.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, obviously, the door is always open if you ever do find yourself in the southeast of England. And if I ever find myself near Sweden, I'll be sure to let you know.
The door is open.
And finally, you briefly said it then. I was going to ask you, what's the best advice that you've ever been given in the past, or what would you tell yourself if you could go back to the beginning? So, or what's the best advice you've ever been given?
If I could tell my past self something, I don't know. Keep doing what you're doing. It apparently works.
Simple.
Yeah.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, apparently on the right track, because you came where you are now, and even I'm not unhappy where I am right now. It's just I'm not there yet. I'm still on the road.
Well, I think that's fair to a lot of creators will think like that. They'll never feel like they've reached it, and there's something nice about that. That means that you're someone that's always going to be striving. You're always moving. You're always trying to progress. So I think it's good to be in that stage. I know I feel like that, and I'm sure a lot of people watching here always feel like that. I do also think that it's important though when to try and recognize when you've achieved goals, to give yourself permission, to give yourself a little tap on the back, and to acknowledge that you've accomplished something, and then you can inevitably move on to that ultimate next goal and that next step.
Yeah, I have my own kind of gift to give myself. That my rule is that whenever I do something that is successful, or a huge step in my career, yeah, I'm allowed to buy myself a watch.
Oh, really?
If I can afford it.
Are you a watch collector then? Is it a thing?
I didn't want to think it like that, but I do own maybe 4 or 5 automatic watches and a bunch of quartz watches. So I do like watches.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, if you ever see Viktor flashing a new watch in his Instagram story, we know that he's in a good place and he's achieved something well. Well, we hope that we can see a brand new watch. Are you wearing a watch right now?
I am. I'm wearing my birthday watch actually, which is it's a very rough Casio G-Shock with a bracelet I made myself.
Oh, that's cool.
Because this one can take a beating, and I can during the summer I can swim with it, I can go through the woods with it, and I'm not afraid that it will be dented or scratched or go out of sync and stuff like that.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, Victor, thank you so much for coming on and giving this interview. Guys, show some love for Victor in the comments. And if people want to follow you, if they're not already, where can people find you online?
They preferably find me on Instagram. My account name is a Swedish word, play of words, which is called Grafikeriet. You're gonna have to write that down somewhere because I don't think many people will be able to write it if they don't speak Swedish. Because even Swedish people have a hard time spelling it or even pronouncing it. But that's preferably where you find me. I do have a website which is the same but .se, yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a true honor, and I'm very happy that you selected me for this interview. Thank you very much.
No, my pleasure, Victor. My pleasure. I just hope that at some point we can actually see each other face to face. We've been friends online for so long, and that is the good thing about social media, is that Indeed. We have this amazing community of people like yourself just giving us so much lovely free content and inspiring us all the time with every post. So that's what I love about social media, is the fact that I can connect with people like you, because without that we wouldn't be doing this interview, and we wouldn't have 50 odd people watching us live right now. So thanks again for joining me, guys. Thank you for watching, and Victor, we'll see you soon, man. Thanks again.
Take care.